Hello and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into what is honestly one of the most powerful evidence-based strategies in higher education right now. I'm talking about peer academic leaders, or PALs. If you're an institutional leader, an educator, or just someone fascinated by how we can actually build student success systematically, you are in the perfect place. We're going to unpack the frameworks, the hard data, and the real-world impact of these programs, using directly sourced research to guide us along the way. So let's get into it. But before we talk solutions, we really have to face the problem. 20%. That is a stark statistic, and it represents the global first-year dropout rate. I mean, just think about what that actually means. 1 in 5 students walking onto a campus this fall literally will not make it to their second year. The stakes in higher ed right now are incredibly high, and it's crystal clear that our traditional support systems, well, they just aren't always enough to catch everyone who might fall through the cracks. Okay, so here's our mental map for today. We'll hit 5 key areas. First, the higher ed retention crisis. Second, redefining peer academic leaders. Third, the 4 C's success framework. Fourth, quantifiable results and global impact. And finally, number 5, building a winning PAL program. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the higher ed retention crisis, and really, the staggering cost of the first year. For a new student, that leap from high school to higher ed, it's a massive structural and social shift. The university environment is dynamic, sure, but it can also be incredibly intimidating. In fact, like we just saw, first-year dropout rates can exceed 20% globally. And I want to emphasize right here, this isn't just some statistical goal for administrators to beat. It's an urgent crisis. Every single percentage point represents thousands of derailed dreams, not to mention significant financial losses for both the students and the institutions. These students, they don't just need a tutor, they need a lifeline. Which brings us to Section 2, redefining peer academic leaders. This is where we move beyond traditional tutors. So who actually are these upper-year student leaders? Well, a peer academic leader, or a PAL, is typically a sophomore, junior, or senior. And yes, they absolutely need a strong academic record. We're usually talking a 3.0 GPA or higher. But notice that second requirement there, empathy. They go through a really rigorous selection process where their interpersonal skills are weighed just as heavily as their grades. They serve as holistic mentors, facilitators, and role models for transitioning peers, like first-generation attendees or transfer students. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the clear dividing line between a PAL and your standard tutor. Traditional tutoring is heavily focused on academic problem solving and subject matter mastery. Basically, you go to a tutor to pass calculus, right? But PAL mentoring, it focuses on holistic development. It's all about study strategies, time management, knowing how to access campus resources, and crucially, social integration. It is a highly relational approach. To see this in action, we can look at a brilliant example. Down at Southern Methodist University, or SMU, PALs are embedded directly into the residential commons. They literally live right where the new students live. They plan educational programs right there in the dorms to demystify all those confusing college expectations. And by doing this, they make campus life significantly less intimidating. It's really all about meeting the students exactly where they are. Moving right along to Section 3. The 4 C's success framework. This is really the engine of student success. So how exactly do PAL programs operate on a psychological level? Well, it boils down to the 4 C's model. First up, confidence. This is systematically built through active encouragement from the PAL. Next is collaboration, which is fostered really naturally in group activities. Then we have communication, enhancing those essential interpersonal skills for both the mentor and the mentee. And finally, critical reflection, where students learn to actually evaluate their own personal learning processes. This isn't just nice-sounding theory. This evidence-based 4 C's model literally acts as the operating system for long-term academic success. And the real beauty of this framework is its versatility. It was developed through action research at Technological University Dublin, specifically for mature and access students, meaning it's a proven model that works across incredibly diverse populations. So whether you're talking about traditional 18-year-old freshmen or adults returning to education later in life, the core mechanics of the 4 C's completely hold true. Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds. Quantifiable results and global impact, or the hard data of peer mentorship. We've talked a lot about the what and the how, but let's look at the ROI, because we know institutions care deeply about those hard numbers. Take a look at Sacramento State. Students who actively utilized PAL programs there saw a massive 23% course grade increase compared to non-users. I mean, wow, that immediately proves the immense academic value of integrating peer leadership directly into the student experience. And the numbers just keep getting better, 18%. Let's really hammer this point home. This 18% represents the retention boost achieved by the University of New South Wales PASS program, which is basically their variant of a PAL program down in Australia. We are talking about saving nearly 1/5 of the vulnerable student population from dropping out. That is huge. And this data, it's remarkably consistent worldwide. Let's do a quick rapid fire here. Ohio University reports a half to full letter grade jump for regular attendees. The University of Reading and the UK saw 12% lower attrition. SMU noted 15% grade enhancements. And the University of Bath in the UK observed significantly higher pass rates in their most challenging modules. These models deliver measurable, undeniable results across completely different continents and institutional types. But, we can't forget the human element here. Mentees consistently report greater confidence, reduced isolation, and a way better resource utilization. Beyond the quantitative numbers, these qualitative impacts are profound. Just reducing that feeling of isolation and increasing a student's sense of belonging, that is often the exact thing that keeps them enrolled when things get tough. Plus, the PALs themselves are building incredible leadership and empathy skills that look absolutely amazing on a resume. So the crucial point is, how do we do this? Section 5, Building a Winning PAL Program. This is your actionable implementation blueprint. How do you actually build this? Well, success hinges entirely on preparation. Here is a proven, structured training timeline pulled straight from the research. Step 1, Week 1 is all about orientation, getting aligned on program goals, ethics, and boundary setting. Step 2, Week 2 dives into heavy skill building. Think active listening, group dynamics, and facilitation. Step 3, crucially, there absolutely must be ongoing monthly check-ins with supervisors for reflection. Some programs, like over at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, they even require a dedicated pedagogy course for their leaders. You can't just throw upperclassmen in a room and hope for the best, right? Structured training is mandatory. Now, we do have to address some modern implementation realities. Recruiting mentors post-pandemic has been a little tough, for sure. But you can overcome these hurdles by utilizing student ambassadors to promote the roles and by offering hybrid formats that blend in-person with virtual sessions. And let's be honest, offering strong incentives like academic credit, stipends, or awards is absolutely vital to sustain that motivation. So if you're ready to start building, here is your practical, actionable launch plan checklist to walk away with today. First, pilot the program in your high DFW courses. That's courses with high drop, fail, withdrawal rates where help is needed the most. Second, assemble a cross-departmental team to secure that crucial campus-wide buy-in. Third, recruit aggressively using info sessions and those incentives we just talked about. Fourth, design your training grounded in evidence like the APLU framework. Fifth, launch with super clear mentor-mentee matching and evaluation plans. And finally, scale based on your data, iterating and improving every single year. As we look a bit further down the road, PAL programs are really evolving for tomorrow's inclusive excellence. Post-2025 trends heavily emphasize integrating AI tools for things like scheduling and progress tracking, but maybe even more importantly, there is a massive shift towards training PALs to conduct basic mental health wellness check-ins, fully recognizing that academic success is, deeply, deeply tied to overall student well-being. Which brings us to our final thought today. As we look toward tomorrow's students, is your institution ready to turn potential obstacles into opportunities for collective advancement? The data is clear, the frameworks are completely proven, and the blueprint is right here. It's time to champion peer mentorship on your campus. And hey, if you are looking for the absolute premier place that higher education institutions trust for their PAL training, I highly recommend checking out the Peer Academic Leaders Academy. You can find all the details at academicjobs.com/peer-academic-leader. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep structuring for success, and I'll catch you next time.